private sector. First of all, we would like to welcome everyone, and we are pleased to invite you in this live podcast session to talk about how we can boost the employee productivity in order to applying the robotic automation process techniques, especially during the current situation kind of time. So we are looking. We have to look to this kind of technology. And today, what the forum will be focusing on helping organizations to stay operation and proactive, especially during this current situation like COVID-19 situation. We need to understand and to know how to facilitate the employee in order to deliver the high value of outcomes, and how the RPA techniques can help the entities to shift their employee to remote working, especially during these emergency situations of time. I would like to welcome and introduce our presenter, Mr. Ala Sukhri, the automating manager and senior business consultant, as well as Mr. Sumit, digital workforce evangelist. And I will give the mic to Mr. Ala now, as well as Mr. Sumit to introduce themselves and start the session. Kindly note that we will be receiving questions during the session. I will be handling these questions. Thank you so much. Mr. Ala, please.
Thank you, Sheikha. Shukran. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Sabah al-khair. Hello, everyone. Good morning. And welcome to today's webinar. I would like to thank all of you for being here today, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy. My name is Ala Surkhi, and I am working as one of the automation managers and senior business consultants at Square One Technologies. And I'm really excited to host this session today. And before start, I would like to really thank Fahar team for this initiative. I would like especially to give big thanks to the IT and the HR club team, especially Ms. Waoud, Ms. Sheikha, Ms. Salwa, Mr. Omkar, and Mr. Samer, Mr. Yasser. So thank you very much for arranging this session today. I'm also blessed to introduce our speaker today from our vendor, Automation Anywhere, Mr. Sumit Uthak. He's a digital workforce evangelist at Automation Anywhere. And Sumit has more than 20-year plus experience in global banks. And he leads implementing automation strategies and executions in finance industries. And he helps us in these regions big time for the big enterprise customers in their automation journey. So he will be our presenter today. And today he's going to share his expertise on how the intelligent automation is providing more productive ways to work remotely and ensure business continuity during these uncertain times. So the main discussion will be how RPA helping organizations to stay operational and safe and productive, even if we have such uncertain times. So I hope that you will enjoy the session today, and I hope it will be helpful and fruitful for everyone. So before I hand over the mic to Sumit, please just allow me to provide a very quick introduction and a brief about today's topic. So what has been happening in the past 6 to 8 years back, a lot of organizations were focusing on document-based automation, and they're creating a lot of business processes to automate all the manual works. So they were looking for document management systems, workflows, PPMs, they need to have e-forms, portals, so on and so forth. And many organizations have done that already, but to be honest, there is a lot of other organizations still behind once it's coming to the automation. So actually in the last 3 to 4 years, once we tied up with Automation Anywhere as our RPA provider, we find a great path for many of our clients to look and try to do a very quick win automation and to have very quick ROIs to automate their services and the processes. So we realized that RPA is the most important, or the robotic process automation is the most important pillar when it's coming to the automation. So what has been done before and after? So before actually using the RPA, once the companies start automated their processes, they were moving fine, but not as expected. But in the last 2 to 3 years, once we start automating the processes using the robotic process automation, the company realized that what they have done in these 2-3 years, it's much better than the last 8 years. So it's a very quick win to automate, and a lot of organizations realize that RPA is the first step toward automation. So we as a strategic partner with Automation Anywhere, we've been tied with them for almost 3 to 4 years. Our main goal is to empower people whose ideas and efforts and focus to make the companies which they are working for great, and delivering intelligent automation technologies for business and IT processes. So you and your company will always be depending on, and you will have intelligent automation within your organization. So just want to talk a little bit about this pandemic time and what is the lesson learned during this situation. In hindsight, many companies have realized that if they have more aggressively deployed automation and paperless strategies in advance of COVID-19, they would have been in very much better position to weather the storm and ensuring business continuity in such uncertain times. So they could have the 24/7 employee, they could have the digital workforce, they can have zero downtime on the services. So COVID-19 revealed one glaring truth, which is the digital transformation is not an option, and everyone is moving toward automation, and they need to automate their processes. So the question which is coming after this pandemic situation is your business really prepared to meet the hyper automation demands post COVID-19 world? So that's what we're gonna walk through today. This is the presentation which we're gonna present today along with Mr. Sumit. So I will hand over the mic to Sumit now, and I believe you can see his presentation now, and he's gonna walk through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to our team as well to have me over here. First of all, good morning, everyone. And let me just switch on the video 1 second so you can see me. Yep, I hope you guys can see me now. So first of all, good morning, everyone. And it's great to be here and really appreciate your time. As Ola said it I couldn't have said it better, that how the organizations are bracing the storm of this pandemic. We are in it right now. For example, I'm calling from India, and the situation in India is not that great. We're in India, it's the third largest COVID patient counts and rising very fast just after the US and Brazil. So the organizations are in thick storm right now. So how we are seeing what's happening. And so the presentation is divided predominantly into 2 parts. One is that how we are seeing the organizations are responding, and specifically those organizations who are our customers. And second, what use cases you need to look at so you make yourself more resilient. So let's go one by one on that one. So, just stating the obvious here, right now the entire world is in lockdown. There's a global disruptions taking place. Market is crashing. Global travel has reduced. Every time we pick up a newspaper, we read something which is not as great as it could be. So to understand how we can make best of the crisis and how we can respond best to our customers specifically, what we have done is we understood that all the industries are impacted, not equally. Some are impacted severely, some are impacted not as severely as possible. And so we divided the industry into various different segments. The industry which needs to be efficient. So we know that, for example, pharma, healthcare, hospitals, and government and ministries needs to be really efficient. When I say efficient, that means they are right now completely inundated with kind of requests and the new services which they have to offer. At the same time, they do not have enough staff to support that. So they are in this perfect storm, which is basically make them realize, okay, how can I take help of technology which can help me to respond to these new needs. Survival is another one. We know that hospitality, airlines, and small and medium enterprises have been severely impacted. The cash flow has shrunk, the liquidity has gone. In those situations, how do you ensure that the organizations are able to keep their lights on? We have seen in hospitality industry, they are trying different services to keep themselves on, but they do not have enough staff to basically respond to those services. And when they're introducing new services, they have to also go for the new procurement because they have to reach out to new vendors to support that, right? So how they can take help of RPA and shrinking the cycle of onboarding a vendor, just-in-time delivery. Airlines, we have seen, I think we all have gone through the experience. This lockdown came upon us suddenly, right? We all had plans, personal holiday plans with family or work travel. Personally, I had booked out 2 weeks of holidays, and we were supposed to go to Goa, and it has to be canceled. And to make that cancellation, I called to the airline company, and it took me 45 minutes without any response. So as you can appreciate, while airline industry is going through these challenges, at the same time, how do we help them so they are able to respond to the need and give the customer, their end stakeholder, right responses, so then customers can empathize with them. So we built some solutions around that as well to help the airline industries, for example, to renew, to reschedule the travel date, to issue the credit voucher, right? All of that could be done with help of automation because repetitive activity. And certainly saving, saving the industry like banking and insurance, they're too big to fail. How do you ensure that banking is able to sustain this period of uncertainty? Many banks and many governments had provided this holiday period where you don't have to pay monthly installments on your home loan, right? While it's good for the end customer, it's too much of work for the banks to basically do it. And again, in the current situation, to do something new, for example, for bank to action that particular activity mandated by the government, they have to update their underlying systems. They have to stop the treatment so that you stop getting the reminders. And they have to ensure that once the debit date is gone, there is no impact on the credit rating. So it's too many configuration changes which needs to be done at the back, right? So I just saw a question: does digital workforce means reducing the workers or workforce? No, of course not, and we'll talk about it. It is about augmenting the capacity so you can do what humans are supposed to do, and I'll talk about that. So this is just an example of how we have seen the industry has been impacted and how we have responded to the needs of those ones, right? But four major things which came out. So similar to this webinar, we did a lot of webinars in month of March and April, and we reached out to many industries, including Middle East, and four prominent theme which came out as during this peak time of lockdown, that organizations really want to continue with the digitization journey. They realize that this is the time. Some of them who have already embarked on their journey were able to get some benefit out of it, and the ones who were sitting on the fence have taken a dive. So in short, COVID-19 lockdown became more of a catalyst for a lot of organizations to start their automation journey, which otherwise they wouldn't have done. And Allah, you would have seen the same thing with your customers as well, right? While we talk about...
Sorry to interrupt you here. There is one question, basically two questions come from Ali Ahli. He is asking about what's the difference between the RBA and the HR automation. And
how do you want to... Sorry, go ahead.
And another question, how RBA will help the HR in enhancement of the HR process?
Okay, how do you want to go? You want me to take the questions as they come, or do you want me to do the questions after the presentation? I'm happy with either way.
Yeah, anyway, anything that you see, it's...
Okay, the fact that you asked the question, let me go with that. And I will also invite Allah to support. Allah, maybe you want to also help me in these points. So the first, could you repeat the first question, please?
First question is, what is the differences between the RBA and HR automations?
Okay. So this is interesting. So RPA is robotic process automation, okay, which is used, it is a technology that can be used to automate HR processes. So you can automate your HR processes using RPA technology. Let me give you some examples, and that would help to respond to the second question as well. In HR, you onboard, for example, when you're recruiting someone, you onboard them, staff. When you onboard them, there are a lot of documents which needs to go through, right? All of this is a manual activity to look at the document, to validate if that document is accurate, and then you do some data entry. And this entire onboarding cycle is there from hire to retirement. Many of these activities, which are manual in nature, can be done using RPA, right? So for example, you can receive a document, for example, an ID, a passport copy, or a relieving letter from the previous organization, right? Or it could be your college degree, college mark sheet if you're an intern starting new, right? All of this can be received in an email. A bot can come, extract that document, download the document, extract the data, validate it, update that into the system. So the person who was doing this in the past can spend more time in interviewing and speaking with the candidates rather than this administrative work. Okay. So Allah, let me know if you want to add something. Yeah.
If you want to allow me just to add more things here. I will just throw two examples. One we have done for a government sector and one for, let's say, constructions in HR. So their aim, they need to automate processes in HR departments. So the government, they have very simple process, which is called sick leave validation. They have more than 10,000 employees. And whenever they issue or raise a sick leave, they need to go validate it from DHA or MOH that make sure that this is a valid certificate and then reflect that on the system. It's 2, 3, 4 steps in the system, but it's the number of transactions is extremely high. And there were around 3 to 4 employees who just sitting and process these type of repetitive routine daily tasks. So they acquire a bot or software employee or digital employee to sit in the HR department working 24/7 processing these kind of requests. Some other examples in constructions company who have more than 20,000 employees and they do HR processes or visa processing for them. They do new visa, renew visa, cancellation, Emirates ID. This is a very traditional manual repetitive tasks on daily basis. They need to extract information from paper. They need to fill it inside the government portal such as Tasheel or any other portal for the government. Then process the application for a new visa or cancellation of visa. So we have done it through the software bot with the help of the automation anywhere. And the turnaround time was enhanced 15 times better than the normal process from the human. So these two type of processes and why they are using it in the HR department.
Thank you, Ala. And also the accuracy by which we do this activity, right? It's the accuracy through which you do that, so there is less, fat fingers or human errors in that process. Over to you, Salah. You were asking some question.
No, just to say both of you for the valid information that was shared.
Yeah, I think let's do it this way. If we are getting the questions, let's jump on it. It's much better. I would rather not have presentation and more questions. So I will request the audience, please start sharing your questions because I know after some time it's boring to hear someone from the PPT. So Allah and we are more than happy to respond to any of the questions. On that, I will just take one more question which had come. Does automation mean reduction in workforce? That's a very, very important, it's a very good question. And it's a very important question as well. So so let me put it this way, and Allah, I'll invite you to support that point as well. So the idea of automation is to augment the capacity of human workforce. RPA does the repetitive activity, and humans are not designed to do that. As Allah gave examples, right, responding to the previous points. Let me take another example. I have seen a lot of banks, global banks, they hire people on cyclical, right? They hire people for 3 months, 2 months. The entire organization get involved in that particular process. They use those temporary staff, as they call them, contract workers, for some time, and they let them go. Okay. So what's happening from the organization perspective is that the entire organization gets involved, right from your recruitment team to HR to training to the business units and the staff. And then you train them, the IP is given to them, and they leave because the work was meant for 3 months, right? In that case, could have been this done in a smarter way. And if you could use digital workforce, where you keep them, you train them, you start the digital worker when there's a peak, a cyclical peak, and you stop them. So here we are not reducing the workforce. What we are doing is we are helping the organization to become more productive. What you see on the slide, it is becoming more productive. It is doing the same activity in a faster, more accurate way, right? At the same time, letting the organization and the current staff do something more valuable, right? So it is never about reducing the workforce. It's always about augmenting, creating capacity, let them train on new skills so they can do something which is bigger, better, and provides more value to the organization. Allah, over to you. You're on mute, mate. Allah, you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I totally agree with you, Sumit. You just said right. Many companies acquiring the RPA in order to enhance the current processes, get rid of these repetitive routine daily tasks, and then enhance the turnaround time, which is definitely the employee who was doing the daily routine task, he will be available to do more valuable tasks for the company. So I totally agree with your example.
Thank you. I'm just going through the questions. So let me just go through the deck, and in the meantime, if there are any more questions coming, I'll just jump in and
Sure.
I see there is a lot of questions coming now from the audience.
That's good. That's what he wanted, right? So which is Thank you all. Please keep sending.
There is one question from Ahmed. He's asking, what is the limitation of bots? Do you require a separate computer, or you can run a bot while working at the same time?
Allah, you wanna try that point? I can support you.
Yeah. So okay, I'll take the second part of it. Do you need separate computer or no? The answer is it can be run on the server, and with Automation Anywhere, we got some nice features, something called attended and unattended bots, unlike any other RPA providers. So the unattended bot, everything will be running behind the scenes. So which means if there is any request, for example, to process this type of passport, or let's say there is a bank statement which need to be reconciled and do the in finance department invoice processing or reconciliation. So that process, once they receive the bot, once he receives any type of a task, he will run it even without notifying the user. The other type, which is the attended bot, also it can be run in the PC or in the server or whatever, but it needs to be executed by the human. So that's also available. That will be for the front end support or the help desk support. For example, they need to process a request or a request for a cash approval or something, so he can do it on this point. So what was the other part of the question? Because I cannot see the full questions here.
Do we require, you answer this, what is the limitation of bot, and do you require a separate computer, or you can run a bot while working at the same time?
Yes.
This question.
I would not say it's a limitation, but it's for any RPA, it's if the process itself requesting or it need a judgment from the human, which means based on my experience, I can take these decisions. So here it's not, I would not say it's becoming a challenge. We need to educate the bot the way how we performing these tasks. So we name it as an exceptional handling. So if we process any task from A to Z using this sequence, which means this is straightforward built on the logic task. But if there is and something that based on my experience, I do it in this way. So we need to agree on a logic so the bot can execute the task. So if the process is clear, built on a logic, so that can be automated without having any issue. So I'll Sumit, if you can also comment on this.
No, thank you, Allah. Very well said. So I'll just do a couple of points. Just to start again from back to front. As Allah suggested, attended and unattended. Let me talk about attended. We also call it human-bot collaboration. It is kind of automation which runs out of your machine along with the humans. Consider a call center situation where agent is receiving a call from his or her customer. Right now, the agent has to go through and look at various different information, collect the information while talking with the customer. And once the conversation is done, has to do other activities, right? So there's a lot of time which goes into this activity. With help of bots, which can be executed from the agent's machine through smart forms and all all of this request or the information about this particular customer can come on the screen pretty quickly. So is there any open requests? Are there any pending dues or whatever? That helps the agents to have qualified conversation with the customer, reduce the average handling time, provide the information in the first shot, and allow the agents to take more calls, right? So increasing productivity. So to answer your point, yes, the technology has been designed that humans and bots can work together from the same machine, but it's been designed to do that. Another point which Allah spoke about, unattended bot, you can use VDI. You basically use automation where it's batch processing, something which you can do overnight, and next morning when you can do the task is done, right? That the bot can be executed by scheduling, by list-based, or by an activity, right? So it has been again designed so that in the background, the work is happening in the VDI or on the cloud, and you did not worry about it. So those two things are. The first part of the question, the challenges, I think one thing which you shouldn't do as you're doing the automation is go for the exceptions. So the exceptions are for humans. The remaining activity is for the bots. So what we have seen in the experience, and I've been a practitioner myself, so I had, just to give you a bit of a background, I had an opportunity to set up Automation Center of Excellence in global banks. So I come as a practitioner and now I've joined Automation Anywhere. What I had seen in my experience and now with other customers as well, that they try to automate the problem, the biggest problem they have, right? I think you shouldn't do that. You should look for the biggest or possible opportunity that will create capacity for you, right? Don't go for the most difficult exception, because what happens is when you're automating a scenario which doesn't happen very frequently, the bots may take time to develop because you will not get that particular test case to test again, right? Or that scenario may not come in 3 months or 4 months, so you're just stuck there. So the suggestion or recommendation would be that go with something which is very simple, high volume, highly repetitive, and the happy path, and you will be able to see some good returns.
I think we can move on the presentation. Let's keep the rest of the question till the end of the session. That maybe you can have some more interesting slides.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So let's do this. Let me go through 3-4 slides, and then I'll ask for questions, and so we do it in section rather than. So let me just quickly, just want to share what on the screen, what it is. It's important because it has come from Middle East region as well, right? So one second, let me close this chat part. And okay, I spoke about digitization, enhanced productivity, automation, acceleration, and upskill of the workforce. These are the 4 major themes which we have seen across the different regions and across different industry. And rightly so, right? Because of pandemic, we are working away from the office. It's all become distributed workforce. How does organization ensure that productivity is there? And when you say productivity, that means doing more with less, because we know that there's a liquidity crunch. How do you avoid liquidity leaks, right? Cash leaks. And that is only possible if you do, you accelerate automation and you continue on your digital journey. But the most important part is also upskilling the workforce as well as the well-being of staff, which also came out very, very strongly. And as I spoke, and Allah also suggested, when you get bots to do the repetitive activity, you give enough time to your workforce to do more value-added work. You also give enough time for workforce to upskill themselves. Many organizations are mandatorily providing the course for their staff to upskill, and by creating a capacity by putting the bots, right? If I zoom down on that particular research, and this is an interesting piece of information, see, what we have seen is that what is this? So I'll go with 1, 2, 3. So the first graph on the left, what you see is that what is the top strategic priority, right? The top strategic priority for the organizations has been to reduce the operational cost, as I spoke about, right? How do you reduce the operational cost? By increasing productivity. So this goes hand in hand, right? And then of course improving the business resilience, which I'll cover in a bit. But this is quite important. It's a full circle in itself, that I want to do more with less. I want to do it fast, accurately, with precision, right? So that's the key what they're looking at. And they are able to, a lot of organizations who are embarked on the digital transformation journey using the automation, using the bots, have been able to achieve that. But along with that, what they've been able to do is provide business resilience. So it's amazing when we reached out to a lot of our CXOs and CFO customers, and we asked them, those ones who are already on their automation journey, that were the bots useful for you during this lockdown and BCP situation? You wouldn't believe the profound statement which came out from everyone who are quite mature in their understanding in the journey. And they said that we do not want to use bots for BCP. The bot should be used to design your process in such a way that the process becomes resilient. So tomorrow, if there is any other external forces which is disrupting the organization, your digital processes are able to stand and weather that storm. And that's a very profound statement which came out. Right. I think there's a lot of background noise. Shekhar, you just want to go mute. Thank you. So that was really important point which I wanted to share with you. And Allah, I will also take your comment on that point after I've finished second and third slide. And sure. So how do you do that, right? If I go to slide number 2, it is about what technology they have in mind to basically invest for, to build the resiliency. See, that's what I'm saying, not BCP resiliency. And approximately 50% said RPA and intelligent automation, right? Because they know that it's a lot of processes which have got a lot of touch points, can be STP'd using automation, could be RPA or intelligent process automation. 22% said big data analytics, which go hand in hand. If you are sitting on the mountain of data, you can create a pattern, you can create a trend, and then you can execute certain actions with help of the bots. Other emerging techs and ML are the next ones which are coming through. But if I go to the graph number 3, which relates back to my previous slide on the upskilling workforce, right? And this is what we are seeing, that organizations are looking at upskilling them in ML, RPA, and intelligent automation, and analytics and big data. So that takes the equal churn. So I think it's important for you and for your organization to think a bit more deeply that we are in this not new normal, we are in this now normal. It will remain like this. We are not going to go back to where we were before. And let's not go back to new normal, but take an advantage of let's create opportunity out of this crisis and go to something which is more transformative. And in doing so, your business fundamentals of reducing operational costs and increasing productivity is a must. Your processes have to be resilient, for which you require technology and for which you require an upskilled workforce. So that's the story behind this. Allah, over to you, if you can share some points from your experience.
Yes, I totally agree with you. So digital workforce solutions that Automation Aware provides and as a robotic process automation is a key pillar for the automation journey. And so we have witnessed the impact of the project for many of our customers and taking the feedback from them. So during even implementing phase 1, they saw the value of the RPA, what value bringing to them, and what kind of saving and benefits they get out of it. So during the implementation itself, we open new doors to talk about other processes and to do automation for them. I'll just throw a very nice example. We have a requirements came like 2 years back from one of the oil and gas companies in the UAE. And we went to address the requirement. The requirements were for the only 3 processes to be automated in the finance department. So the whole initiative came from the finance department. They need to automate the financial processes. During the implementation, they saw the value and the benefits and how really they can benefit of these technologies and they free up the resources to do some other tasks. Especially, they were requiring another company at the same time. So they need really to have the employee working for both companies, but they don't want to hire any new employees. So they need to manage with their existing resources. So what happened is, within our implementation, we give them the ROI and the benefits out of these 3 processes. They came up with an initiative within their finance departments called 111 initiative. And 111 initiative is nothing but automation 111 financial processes. And the value and the ROI for it is extremely high. So they need to go live with these 111 financial processes automated using the robotic process automation before end of 2021. So the impact was extremely high. Everyone is happy. Even the employees were free to do some other tasks. So that's my side.
Ala, I have a question for the ROI.
Yes.
What is the general ROI for the RPA in public sector?
Okay. So let's, Allah, we can go on this together. Let me just bring up a slide. It's okay. Let me just go through this and explain how I see as ROI. It's here. Okay, there you go. Can you see that slide?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me give a bit more overall number, and then Ala, you can talk specifically about a use case which you have seen. So first thing is ROI. It depends where are you in your automation journey. Okay, what we have seen is those organizations who are embarking their automation journey needs to show some quick runs on the board, or have to kick some quick goals, right? Because they have to show that there is a product, we have been able to install it, and we've been able to show some productivity, there has been some ROI. And in this case, the ROI is more in terms of hard saves. Okay, when I say hard saves, it is about saving some currency, some value, dollar value. But what we have seen with the organizations who have moved a bit more deeper in their automation journey, there are different ways you can calculate ROI. One is certainly by the hard saves, by FTE savings, but then also from the cost savings, right? As I gave you an example that when there is a peak of any particular business activity, we go and hire temp staffs, and that attracts a lot of cost. So you can reduce that by or avoid that by using automation. Third is in terms of compliance. And we have seen that a lot of organizations have got a lot of compliance requirements. If they don't go for those requirements, they end up attracting fines. Or they will hire people because they have got a compliance requirement with a very very specific deadline, and they have to achieve that. Fourth one is in terms of providing new opportunities. So what we have seen is doing less with more, creating new revenue models or revenue streams, because you're able to create more capacity from the existing staff, because in the current situation, you're not able to hire more people, but at the same time, you want to increase your liquidity and cash flow. So you need to find smarter ways of using these staff. So these are the things which we are, the organizations are also looking at from the ROI perspective. Last but not the least, what I have seen when I was as a practitioner, one of the ROIs which was acceptable in the organization I was working for, that was a French bank, was that you should be able to receive the cost of deploying and building and managing the bot within 9 months. That was the yardstick which was used in that organization. Every organization is different, but what I will suggest before I give it to Ala, that when you think about ROI, think a bit more strategically from the digital transformation point on the benefits it will bring to the organization, and just not only about saving dollars or dirhams or whichever currency you're working for. Over to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Sumit. Thank you. Just that small things to add. Depends also once you work and select the process for a big ROI. So we work with our clients in kind of some different ways. Some of the customers, they said that we need to automate this process. But once we do the study for this process, we saw that, okay, you can automate it, but there's no really big value brings to the company. So how we work with our customers, we work with them based on understanding their processes landscape and selecting processes for automation, which is bringing them in a maximum ROI and benefit. I'll throw an example. We have one government entities here in Dubai, and they want to follow the strategies and the initiative by His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed and the other sheikhs. They need to have a government without papers, correct? So that's they need to have a 24/7 government. But yeah, so 24/7 services. So which means either to hire 3 shifts on the organization, or to find some other way to do automation. So I'll throw one example. We have automated one process for one government entity where they have 7 employees who's doing daily repetitive tasks, receiving an application, access 4 different government portals to do validation. So these were taken for each application to be processed. It's need around 10 to 15 minutes. Using the bots, we have done it in less than 35 seconds. So that's one. Second thing is, in order to reach these applications, so there is a queue to reach this application to be processed. 15 days to process this application, which means 15 days I need to process this application and move to the another one. And what we have done is, once the application just hit the server, all the information is there. The digital bot or the digital employees, and they give it a name, access this information or this application, access 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 government portal, update them, get the information which we need from their applications, update the internal system, and send it for approval. So they literally they have enhanced the process like big time. So that's really a very nice example in the government. So mainly selecting the right process which have the the biggest number of transaction and bringing value for the organization after automating it.
Do we have any other questions? Or we're good?
So far, good. You can continue
Okay.
your the slides of the presentation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out which slide to present. So how much more time do we have?
We have about 15 minutes.
Okay. Let me. Sorry, I was just going through my slides. Based on the time, I'm just going to share what's right for the audience. I think if I can just extend on the previous question that was asked, right? I think these are again leveraging RPA to achieve financial services objectives, which we have seen. From HR perspective as well, we have seen. I will give you one example. What one of our customers have done is they have created a bot. So based on the requirement which you receive from the organization to look for the candidate, that requirement is taken by the bot, and bot goes on to LinkedIn or any other sites where the candidates would upload their details. We'll capture the detail, we'll create a short list of the candidates based on the match, and the next morning when the agent, the recruitment staff is coming in, all they do is go through that particular recommended candidates, make a decision, and call the candidates to do the interview. So they are spending more time in interviewing the candidates rather than doing a desktop search, right? So that way you are able to get the right candidates, reduce the attrition as well, because you had enough time to know them well, scrutinize, meet, and all of that. So I think that's something which we need to consider in any of the use cases we look about. Okay. We covered this point. Let me talk about one of the use cases. I think, see, one more challenge which we have seen, and that's part of every organization, if I can just quickly cover, is this. Sorry, there's a lot of animation is there, so pardon me on that one. So one of the challenges which we have seen, and it's with all the organizations, right, that there are a lot of islands of applications, and that's where RPA come into picture. We have seen that in front office, you have got a lot of applications like Salesforce, Zendesk. You will have a lot of different applications working independently for point-in-time solution. In back office, we have seen SAP, your own BPM tools, Workday, Oracle, for all the different processes. And then we also have seen a lot of productivity apps like Office 365, G Suite, Zoom, and the sorts. What happens is, in a one value chain where you initiate the request till you basically address and activate and close it, you go through islands and islands of application, right? And this is what we are trying to suggest with the automation, that you need to bring all of these together and you have to stick them together. And to stick them, you cannot have islands of RPA platform either. Like you cannot have, like, for example, one process of procure to pay, you might have 10 applications you have to go through, and you may require a right automation technology to connect all of them. You cannot have multiple automation technologies doing it. It's like you're putting Band-Aid over a plaster. It's like that. So you do not want to do that. So let me give you an example on this one. See, this is a P2P procure to pay use case. In any organization, it will go through this sort of challenges of going through various different applications. You can see the counter on the right. The number of days are increasing. It has got various different apps also at the same time. So we understand that a lot of organizations have got applications and technology solutions in place, but there are a lot of touch points there, right? So the idea is that how do you basically remove these touch points and make it straight through STP? And this is where we believe that all of those touch points could be done using automation. You're connecting the two different boxes, like from Adobe, and box is connected. You've got Outlook and you've got other app which is connected, right? So you can use all of that, and you will see that it will, from 20 days, the entire process can be done with help of automation solution. utilizing, harnessing your existing environment within 5 days, right? So that's that. I'll take a pause again in interest of time. Would like to see if any further questions have come. Do we have any more questions?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we have questions. There's one question, one lady asked, I think, what is the differences between RP and BPM in engines, or they complement each other?
Yep. Ala, you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
Just look into the. You can take it, Sumit. I'm just looking into the question.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think the question is that what is the difference between RP and a BPM app, and are they complementary to each other? So if you have any examples, please feel free to throw in. If I can, let me give you a first attempt. See, what you see on the screen here is a combination of RPA and BPM applications, right? Many times Salesforce is used, and many times SAP is used. We have seen that the processes have got BPM tools. So the entire value chain has got a lot of steps, a lot of process, and for parts of the process, we use BPM technology, right? So the idea is that how we can bring all of this together and create that value for the organization. So RPA can easily work with any BPM technology, either at the screen scraping level, or either if they're exposing API, it can connect through. For example, right, any data you get from the Excel needs to be put in the BPM tool, or any data you get from your from email attachment has to be looked at and has to be keyed in. That can be done with the help of bot. Right, once bot has been done, the data goes into the BPM tool, it will do processing. Another activity which needs to be done, that again can be done with the bot, right? So certainly it can work, it works with each other. Hello.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Sumit. I started my introduction talking about we've been working in the automation domain for the last 11 years, and mainly we're providing PPMs and workflows for automation or for the enterprises. So what we notice is that even though we automate the process, and it took a lot of time to be automated, once we automate the process, we found that still a gaps in this process, that where the human need to go there, accept, reject, download, upload, extract. These kind of dots cannot be done by the or gaps cannot be completely managed by the normal PPM engines or workflows. So we complement the PPM, whatever the gaps are there, we are complementing it by having the robotic process automation. That's one example. Second thing, we have an experience with one of the biggest retails company here in UAE. They have top-notch technologies. They have SAP, Oracle, different ERP systems. They have developers, just you name it. You know, even once we went there, we thought that we cannot do any more automation. Once we sit down and we understand more about how they run the processes, we found, yes, they have top technology, but there is around 80 processes need to be automated or fully automated. So we fill these gaps using the robotic process automation and with the help of the PPM engine. I hope it's clear.
Mr. Sumit, there is another question from Ahmed. He's asking, do you connect automation with the API level backend or in the front of the application?
So API, if the API is exposed, we connect with the API. It's as simple as that. What we have seen, RPA is a non-intrusive technology. It from on the front side, on the presentation layer, it connects with screen scraping without using any API, of course. But at the middle level, you can expose API, we can connect it, and we can extract the same data if the application is exposing it.
Yeah.
See, what we have seen, just to extend, many of the legacy applications doesn't have the API capabilities. We still have a lot of green screen, like old school, right? Now, these green screens cannot get connected with your SAPs or Oracles of the world. So how do you make sure that the data coming from that green screen goes into these applications? And that's where you use RPA technology, which goes onto the screen, extract the data, and then put that into these applications.
Exactly, Sumit. Just to say the same, for the legacy system especially, many companies, they have already some legacy systems. It could be that there is no web service available, there is no APIs, or the third-party company don't want to share their code or whatever. So how we can integrate these screens? We can do that very easily using the robotic process automation on the screen level. So we can go to the field, same as human, look at the data, feed the data, extract data, and we can overcome this challenge by the robotic process automation.
Thank you, Mr. Ada. Mr. Sumit, Ammar is asking about how can RPA assist in terms of learning and development. Most HR examples given are about onboarding. In other words, what are the processes needed in learning and management applicable for RPA?
Okay. So what, Allah, you can support me. Let me attempt on this question. Okay. So let me give it a best shot and let's see if you're able to support me on that one. And I'm thinking on fly because I don't have a ready-made use case, but if I apply my logic well in L&D, which is learning and development department, there's a lot of reports which needs to be created. There's a lot of analysis which needs to be done in terms of which organization has got course requirement, which particular staff employees are running behind their learning schedule, right? So there is a lot of administrative and management and reporting activity which needs to be done from the L&D perspective. And I would rather use bots in doing that and get the people who are the trainers to basically spend more time on training. Another things which we have seen as part of this particular webinar, for example, we receive a lot of inputs and feedbacks from the audience, and same would be when you're doing L&D or when we're taking sessions for your staff or your stakeholder. How do you consolidate that data, right? What do you make sense of it so you can be better in terms of your course material coming out? All of that can be used. So it's up to you, to be honest with you, how smartly you want to use this particular technology to create more opportunity and more time for you.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Actually, we've experienced such things in the HR department that they need to automate some kind of procedures. I want to highlight one thing. Within robotic process automation from Automation Anywhere, they have something called insights. And these insights is giving us detailed reports about what has been done, what is the, as kind of reporting or KPIs, dashboarding for the team. So usually the HR team need to go to these insights, do the analyzing on it, and which is taking a lot of time. So what we have done, using the robotic process automation, we can analyze these kind of reports and come up with a suggestion or recommendation based on the learning path which you should go through. So for an example, Ala should take RPA session today. The next session should have X. So we have experienced such services. We automated some processes for some HR for e-learning or for the government in order to develop and enhance the skills for the employees. So we can help also in this particular case.
So I just would like to quickly cover this last slide from my side. So just to complete the message, Ala also spoke about this. So this is how the Automation Anywhere digital platform looks like. And I'm not talking about try to sell the product, but I'm just going to give you an idea in terms of what different type of technology is used in your digital automation journey. So right from the discovery to the deployment and then understanding how the bot functions, you need to have all of that in mind when you're starting your automation journey, right? Like how do you identify the right process? How do you make sure that the processes are the ones which needs to get automated or the steps within the process are the right one? That's nowadays it is done manually, but soon the process discovery module will come out and that will help you. See what happens is when you start your automation journey, it's easy to find few processes, but as you get deeper into it, you need to qualify these processes, right? So that's that. What we have also seen is that while RPA will help you with your logical bots to automate your mundane, repetitive, high volume activities, you will have to combine RPA with cognitive automation to provide the next level of benefit to your customers, right? And that's where the cognitive automation comes in picture, which uses structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, right? Your invoices and email classifications and all of that. So that's equally important. And I spoke about bot insights. It's like, I believe in a saying that if you cannot measure it, that's equal to not getting done. So measuring and monitoring is the key. And with the help of digital workers or the bots, you're able to create a lot of data which you were unable to create previously. You can use this data to create operational insights and business insights, the productivity of the bot and the value the bot is providing. And you can use it for the benefit of the organization, your stakeholder. So these are the 4 pillars which we basically consider are must for the digital transformation journey for your organization.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ala and Mr. Sumit, for the valid information which was shared. But I have a couple of questions I would like to ask both of you. What are the criteria to identify a process to be best fit for the RPA automation? Is it possible for the entities to hire consultants for this exercise?
Yes, definitely. As I mentioned, we are following the standard by selecting the right landscape for the processes. However, we can also help by sending our senior consultant to do some kind of evaluation for the processes. And this is what we have been doing since long time. We go to the customer side, understand their processes, their pains, and we can recommend them what to automate and how to automate it, even if the process needs some kind of re-engineering to be on the 100% automation mode, we can help and recommend in such scenarios. Sumit, also maybe you can add from your end.
No, I completely agree with you, Ala. And I think you need to get some experts on board initially to make sure that you are not going in the opposite direction. You're identifying the right path, because you need to show some early wins, guys. It's very important. If you show some early wins, the more use cases will come through. So that's important. And also you need to know what not to automate. That's equally important. So do not automate something which will take too much time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Another question is, does the RPA come with its own AI tool, built tool, or there is an AI tool that we should integrate with?
So I can take that question, Ala. So in the previous slide, I had shown you the 4 components: Discovery Bot,
Yes.
RPA, and IQ Bot. IQ Bot is our cognitive module. It is part of the Automation Anywhere suite. You can use RPA and IQ Bot, which is your cognitive technology, together. So you don't have to go externally and to find some other solution for that. And that's the thing which we do. So that's why we call ourselves digital workforce, digital worker, because it lets you automate everything using the technology you need, be it insights, be it RPA, or be it cognitive.
Thank you, Mr. Sumit. We really appreciate everyone attends today's session, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Sumit and Mr. Ala.
No problem.
And stay tuned for the upcoming session from Federal Authority for Government of Human Resources.
Yes, Sheikha, I saw one message from Ahmed Shaheen asking about if we can answer a question on the emails. So feel free to share all the questions with us. We'll be more than happy to answer.
Yes, sure.
Shukran.
Thank you all. Thanks for the opportunity. I hope you found it insightful. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Nice meeting you. Bye, Sheikha. Bye.